Sometimes the most meaningful connections don't arrive with certainty. They arrive as a feeling you can't quite explain, yet can't easily ignore. There is a subtle warmth around you at this moment, something you might not have fully acknowledged yet. It feels like an unseen energy gently surrounding your presence, soft but steady, carrying a sense of deep emotional admiration and quiet affection. You may have brushed it off as coincidence, or questioned whether your intuition was playing tricks on you. At times, you may have even convinced yourself that experiences like this are not meant for you. But what you have been sensing is not imagination. It is not a random feeling. It is something real that has been slowly revealing itself to your awareness. What your heart has been noticing in silence carries meaning. Someone younger than you has developed feelings that go far beyond simple curiosity or temporary attraction. This is not something fleeting that disappears with time. It has taken root in them in a way that feels steady and difficult to ignore. If you feel a strange connection with a younger person in your life right now, that feeling is not without reason. It may be more significant than you have allowed yourself to believe. What they feel for you has settled deeply inside their mind and heart. It stays with them in quiet moments and in busy ones alike. You are present in their thoughts in the morning when they wake up, and again at night when everything becomes still. Even during their daily routines, when attention is pulled in different directions, you remain in the background of their awareness, like something meaningful they cannot quite explain. There is curiosity, admiration, and emotional pull all mixed together, forming a connection they are still trying to understand. It is natural if part of you feels surprised or uncertain hearing this. You might even wonder what someone younger could possibly see in you. You may have looked at yourself through the lens of past disappointments and concluded that your time for being chosen or deeply valued has already passed. But those thoughts are not truths. They are emotional echoes from experiences that hurt you, not reflections of who you truly are. There is a deeper awareness that has been surrounding your life for a long time. Your struggles have not gone unseen. The moments of loneliness, the nights of overthinking, the silent questions about whether love would ever return in a meaningful way. All of that has been witnessed on a deeper level than you realize. Even in the times when you felt overlooked or forgotten, life was still shaping something within you. You carry a presence that naturally affects the space around you. Even if you do not notice it yourself, others feel it. There is something about your energy that creates a shift in atmosphere when you enter a room. People notice your quiet strength, the way you hold yourself, and the depth behind your expressions. They notice how you listen, how you respond, and how you make others feel acknowledged without even trying too hard. These qualities are not ordinary. They are formed through experience, emotional depth, and growth. This younger person is drawn to exactly that. To them, you feel grounding. When they are around you, something within them becomes calmer, yet at the same time, more awake. It is as if your presence gives them a sense of emotional safety they did not realize they were missing. You feel familiar in a way that is difficult for them to put into words, almost like a calm space in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain. Over time, this feeling has not decreased. It has grown stronger. That is why they find it harder to ignore. You may already have seen small signs of this connection. Maybe they hold eye contact a little longer than usual. Maybe their tone softens when they speak to you. Maybe they look for reasons to be near you, to help you, or to start conversations that do not really need a reason. Maybe they remember small details about you that you thought went unnoticed. None of this is random. These are quiet expressions of emotional attention that come from genuine interest. On a deeper level, this connection carries meaning beyond surface attraction. There are experiences and emotional patterns that have led this person toward you. Life often brings people together not by accident, but through timing that aligns with internal growth and recognition. Every connection carries something within it, sometimes a lesson, sometimes healing, sometimes a shift in direction. This one is no different. It is unfolding in its own way, revealing itself gradually rather than all at once. If something inside you feels drawn to these words, do not dismiss it too quickly. Sometimes recognition does not arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes as a quiet sense of understanding that something is speaking directly to your experience. That inner reaction may be more accurate than doubt. When this person is near you, they experience a kind of peace that is rare for them. The world outside often feels demanding, filled with pressure, expectations and noise. But your presence seems to soften that intensity. Around you, things feel less overwhelming. You bring a sense of balance that helps them settle emotionally, even if they do not consciously realize why. You have developed emotional steadiness over time, whether through lessons, challenges, or personal growth. That steadiness is something others can feel. This younger person is especially sensitive to it. Even if they are dealing with uncertainty or internal tension, being around you creates a contrast that feels comforting. You represent something grounded and emotionally stable, and that naturally draws them closer. At the same time, you make them feel seen. You give attention in a way that feels real and sincere. You listen, you notice, you respond with care. These may feel like simple things to you, but for someone who often feels overlooked or uncertain, they become deeply meaningful. In your presence, they feel valued, and that feeling leaves a strong emotional imprint. The age difference between you is not what defines this connection. It is simply a surface detail. What matters more is the emotional resonance between two people and the way they affect each other's inner world. When there is understanding, comfort, and mutual emotional recognition, those external differences lose much of their weight. Connections do not always follow predictable patterns. They form where emotional alignment exists, not where expectations dictate. There is no need to rush to label or define what this is. Some connections reveal their purpose slowly. Some exist to awaken awareness, to shift perspective, or to bring emotional clarity. What is important is how it makes you feel and what it reflects back to you about your own presence and energy. If you find yourself wondering whether this applies to you, it is already a sign that something within you is paying attention. Sometimes awareness begins quietly before understanding fully forms. This moment may simply be part of a larger unfolding process in your emotional journey. And as this continues to develop, remember that your value is not defined by age, timing, or past experiences. There is still space in your life for connection, for recognition, and for being deeply felt by someone who truly notices you. What is approaching may not look the way you expected, but that does not make it any less real. This is not the end of your emotional story. In many ways, it may be the beginning of a new chapter where connection arrives in a form you did not anticipate, yet cannot easily ignore. Your essence is made up of everything that forms you as a person. It lives in the way you smile, the way you laugh without forcing it, and the stories you naturally share when you feel comfortable. It is in the softness that still exists in your eyes, even after everything you have been through. It is the energy you bring into spaces, the calmness in how you handle pressure, and the quiet strength that holds you together during difficult moments. It is also the warmth people feel around you even after you have left. All of these details come together to create something deeply memorable, something that leaves an impression without you even trying. This person has tried to understand their feelings in a logical way. They have questioned themselves, overthought it, and even attempted to step away from what they feel. Yet instead of fading, the emotion only seems to return stronger. No matter how much they try to redirect their thoughts, they keep coming back to you. Their mind circles around your presence again and again, and their emotions quietly pull them back toward you, even when they do not fully understand why. Genuine connections are not something that appear often in life. People who truly resonate with your inner world are rare. When someone authentic comes into your experience, it is worth allowing yourself to remain open rather than immediately closing the door. There is no need to rush anything or force a direction. Awareness alone is enough. Simply notice what you feel without suppressing it, because emotions often carry information that the mind takes time to understand. This younger person is not only drawn to your physical presence. What attracts them runs deeper than appearance. They feel connected to your inner world, your thoughts, your experiences, your perspective on life, and the way you understand things differently from others. They want to know what shaped you into who you are. They are curious about your journey, your values, and the meaning behind your calm exterior. To them, you are not just a passing interest. You are someone they want to understand more deeply. This type of connection often carries a sense of emotional depth from the beginning. They are not just interested in surface-level interaction. They want closeness, understanding, and emotional familiarity. Because of this, they often hold back and observe carefully. They are trying to understand whether what they feel is real, whether it is safe, and whether it is welcomed. At times, they may appear uncertain or quiet about their feelings. Not because the emotion is weak, but because it feels important to them. They fear misunderstanding or rejection, so they communicate through subtle behavior instead of direct expression. You may notice their attention lingering, their presence becoming consistent, or their small efforts to stay near you whenever possible. These are quiet signs of emotional investment rather than coincidence. Even when they attempt to step back, something about your presence continues to pull their attention forward again. It is not forced, it feels natural to them, as if their mind returns to you without instruction. Small interactions with you stay in their memory longer than you might expect. A short conversation, a simple smile, or a moment of kindness becomes something they revisit in their thoughts later. Your influence on them is more significant than you realize. You may not notice how often they think about you or how deeply they reflect on your words. But in their inner world, your presence leaves an imprint. It becomes something steady in their emotional awareness, something they quietly carry throughout their day. As this connection continues to unfold, the feelings involved remain genuine from their side. There is sincerity in the way they think about you, even if it is unspoken. The attraction is not loud or dramatic. It grows quietly, steadily, and consistently over time. They may also carry hesitation, wondering if the difference in age creates distance or uncertainty. But if there is openness between you, even in small ways, they are likely to feel encouraged rather than discouraged. Emotional safety plays a major role in how they express themselves. When they sense acceptance, they begin to relax into what they feel. Real connection is not limited by external labels. It is formed through recognition, when two people feel understood, seen, and emotionally aligned in a way that feels natural. In those moments, age becomes secondary to the experience of connection itself. What matters most is the emotional exchange between two people who resonate with each other's presence. There is something timeless within you that remains untouched by age. It is the part of you that still feels wonder, still responds to beauty, still hopes for meaningful connection, and still holds space for love. That part of you is what they are responding to most strongly. Not a number, not a label, but the energy of who you are at your core. And without you needing to force anything, your presence naturally creates impact. You are noticed. You are remembered. You are felt in ways that go beyond words. Someone younger finds themselves thinking about you more often than they expected, sometimes even smiling at the thought of you without fully realizing it. What is unfolding here is a connection that continues to grow in silence, shaped by attention, emotion, and curiosity. And while the future is not defined yet, what exists in this moment is real in its own way. Quiet, developing, and steadily becoming something more meaningful with time. You may start to notice a quiet shift within yourself, a feeling of becoming more open, more hopeful, and more connected to your own inner world again. It can feel as if something in your life is gently reawakening, as though parts of you that were once silent are beginning to breathe again. In this space, they seem to reflect something back to you, parts of your own essence that were always there, but had been pushed into the background by time, experience, or emotional fatigue. What you bring into this dynamic is depth, emotional steadiness, understanding, and lived wisdom. What they bring is energy, curiosity, freshness, and a sense of emotional movement. When these qualities meet, there can be a natural sense of balance, not because one completes the other, but because both offer something the other recognizes and responds to. From a broader perspective, it can feel like timing aligning in a way that is hard to ignore, as if two lives are crossing at a meaningful point in their personal journeys. Often, what keeps people from receiving meaningful experiences is not absence, but doubt. When someone begins to recognize their own worth more clearly, something subtle starts to change. They become more open to possibilities that were always there but previously overlooked. They begin to notice what aligns with them rather than dismissing it out of uncertainty or fear. This person pays attention in a way that feels intentional. They notice details others might miss. Small comments you make, subtle expressions, shared moments, even passing words that you yourself may not remember later. These stay with them. That kind of attention usually reflects genuine interest and emotional depth rather than casual interaction. If you find yourself resonating with this, you may feel a pull to slow down and simply stay present with what is unfolding. There is no need to force clarity or rush meaning into something that is still developing. When a connection is real, it does not need pressure to exist. It unfolds in its own rhythm, shaped by time, awareness, and mutual understanding. At the same time, your inner experience matters just as much as the connection itself. Your thoughts, emotions, and intuition are not random. They are part of how you interpret and navigate what you are sensing. Giving yourself space to observe without over-analyzing can allow things to reveal themselves more naturally. From a more reflective perspective, experiences like this are sometimes seen as part of a larger unfolding in life, where people enter our path at moments that carry meaning, growth, or awareness. Even if the full picture is not visible yet, there can still be value in acknowledging what feels significant in the present moment. What remains important is your sense of self-worth. You are not defined by time, age, or past experiences. Those things shape your story, but they do not limit your capacity to be seen, valued, or emotionally understood. In fact, everything you have lived through has added layers to your character, depth, perspective, resilience, and emotional awareness that cannot be replicated. This person may notice in you qualities that you have become accustomed to overlooking in yourself. The way you think, the way you carry experience, and the way you understand life can appear more meaningful from an outside perspective than they feel from within. Sometimes connection acts as a mirror, helping you see yourself with slightly more clarity and softness. There is also something naturally human about curiosity in connection. They may want to understand your experiences, your perspective, and the story behind who you are today. Not as something to analyze, but as something to appreciate. That interest, when sincere, often reflects respect for depth rather than surface-level attraction alone. It is also normal to have questions about boundaries, timing, and appropriateness, especially when age differences are part of the situation. Those thoughts often come from awareness and integrity rather than fear. At the same time, meaningful connection between adults ultimately depends on mutual understanding, respect, and emotional clarity rather than external assumptions alone. What matters most is that any interaction remains grounded, honest, and respectful for both people involved. If there is anything unfolding here, it is still your experience to interpret at your own pace. Nothing needs to be rushed, defined, or acted upon immediately. You are allowed to simply observe what is happening and understand your own feelings without pressure. And within that space, one truth remains steady. You are still capable of connection, closeness, and being emotionally seen in ways that feel real and meaningful. Life does not close the door on connection based on age or past chapters. It continues to bring people into our path in unexpected ways, sometimes gently reshaping how we see ourselves and what we are open to receiving. What you choose to do with that awareness is entirely yours, but the presence of connection, reflection, and emotional recognition is something you are allowed to acknowledge without dismissing it. And as this continues to unfold, the most important thing to carry forward is not urgency, but clarity within yourself. What feels right, what feels respectful, and what allows you to remain grounded in your own values while staying open to what life may be showing you. In conclusion, what this entire message is really pointing toward is not certainty about a specific outcome, but awareness of your own emotional landscape. It is asking you to slow down and notice what you feel without immediately dismissing it or rushing to define it. Whether this connection is something that grows, fades, or simply teaches you something about yourself, its deeper purpose is found in how it reflects your capacity to feel, to recognize depth, and to remain open to meaningful human connection. At the same time, it gently brings you back to yourself. Your worth is not determined by someone else's attention, interest, or perception of you. It is already established in who you are, what you have lived through, and the emotional depth you carry. Any connection that enters your life is meant to meet that truth, not replace it or define it. If something in this experience feels real to you, it does not need to be forced, exaggerated, or feared. It can simply be acknowledged with balance and clarity. You are allowed to observe, to feel, and to take your time without pressure or confusion. And that is where the real conclusion lies. Not in chasing meaning outside yourself, but in returning to your own center, where self-respect, emotional honesty, and grounded awareness guide every decision you make from here.